You know that I've been saying this for a while. I've been saying this for 2 years, basically, that the Sixers have set themselves up, and everything they were doing was to set themselves up, not for LeBron James, but for a player of this magnitude. It was, and my reasoning was, the older veteran player who's not at the end of his line, but maybe at the end of his prime. And he will have a cast of young players that could carry him for more seasons. And as Jason McIntyre writes at thebiglead.com, there's 2 teams, Jason, that are very intriguing for the LeBron July 2018. One, L.A., the other, Philadelphia. And I've kind of been on that trumpet for a while that watch the Sixers because they've been building towards this for a couple of years to be a player in free agency, and they have the space. It's not the team on the front of the jersey. It's the cap space they have and the ability to add maybe a friend of LeBron's too.
Wow, 2 years you've been on this. That's impressive. I mean, listen, I've been all about the process. You know, I've taken some shots at the Sixers on social media, and fans don't like that. I try to keep it real. What can I say? But this, I think you're onto something. If you say you've been on this for 2 years, there is a legit chance LeBron could end up in Philly. Now, let me preface that by saying they can't win like 30 games and expect to get LeBron.
I agree.
They need to make that leap. I mean, I think actually they got to be like a 4, 5, 6 seed, win 45 to 50 games, and then win around in the playoffs. Because what the big hurdle with Philly is, well, wait a sec, are these guys going to be able to stay healthy? Are they going to be ready? Because everybody looks back at the Andrew Wiggins trade for Kevin Love. And, hey, LeBron doesn't want to play with young guys. He wants veterans ready to contribute. Well, Philly doesn't have that. But if Fultz and Simmons and Embiid can show, holy cow, we got something here, and the role players like Covington and Saric and everything would have to fall perfectly in place, then yeah, I don't see why LeBron would not consider the Sixers. And the other thing, and I wrote it on the Big League, guys, there really cap-wise is no other option. Now, maybe some GM or gets his act together and in the next 11 months can magically move mountains. But I'm telling you, I examined the cap situation. Right now, it's Lakers and Sixers if LeBron wants to leave Cleveland.
Right, and that's the big thing. And that's where I was kind of, I agree with you, too, on the first part. The Sixers can't be 28 wins, not make the playoffs, have injuries. They've got to start to show that these guys are healthy, they can play, and that they could help carry LeBron. Like, LeBron doesn't have to carry these young kids. That LeBron can just be like, hey, give me the ball late. I'll be the veteran guy, but I got guys who can prolong my career, and they have the money to do it. But the whole part.
Let me add one more thing. There's fans out there saying, well, wait a sec. Yeah, why can the Sixers not win 35? The Lakers are only going to win 30, 35 games. But here's the difference. It's the Lakers, the marquee franchise in the NBA in Los Angeles, where, and this is a big one, LeBron could kind of learn at the altar of Magic Johnson of how to go from basketball player to potential billionaire and mogul who runs a bunch of businesses. And LeBron's got a production company. And also, Paul George already said he wants to go to the Lakers. I know what he said about to the Sports Illustrated about Oklahoma City. I think we can agree, though, that's just lip service, right? Come on. Listen, if Kevin Durant ain't staying in OKC after 8 years, you can't tell me Paul George is. I'm sorry. I refuse to believe it.
Yeah, and your other point is, too, and I don't know why all these guys all elected to go to the West, but the East would be weaker, and LeBron probably is cognizant of that.
Yeah, no, the East is historically weak. I mean, I looked at the backup All-Stars. I don't think they would be like a great team in the West, the backup All-Stars. I mean, you're looking at like really ordinary players. And this isn't, listen, these obviously guys making a lot of money, but the Miami Heat just gave Kelly Olynyk $50 million. The Miami Heat gave James Johnson like a $60 million contract. And the Heat are like a top 6 team in the East. There is just a dearth of good players after Giannis, after Kyrie, LeBron, John Wall. It's really bleak in the East. So, I mean, I don't know. My big concern with, and I would love LeBron to go to the Lakers, obviously, or the Sixers. But my big concern is, hey, LeBron could sleepwalk through this season. He could literally play 55 games, rest up for the playoffs, and then he wakes up and they're in the Eastern Conference Finals. I mean, that's how weak the East is. I mean, I do think Boston has improved. Are you guys on board with me here that Boston and Cleveland right now is a toss-up? Are you buying this?
I've seen you go that route. I don't
keep it real. I can take.
No, I'm saying I don't know that I look. I think they closed the gap maybe a little bit, but I don't.
You still haven't Cleveland won Boston too.
Yeah, I don't think
discussions that we've had.
Yeah, I just I think they almost made a lateral move. I mean, I get Hayward's an all-star and he's a great player, but at what expense? I think they lost some of their identity.
Hey, losing Avery Bradley and losing Olenek. I mean, this is very true. Let me point out, though, if you call up the roster of the Cleveland Cavaliers, I mean, they got half the roster collecting Social Security, guys. They looked ancient against the Warriors in the finals. I know you're going to say, well, who cares about Channing Frye and Richard Jefferson? These guys are irrelevant. Well, all I'm saying is LeBron turns 33 in December. In the history of the NBA, point out a player who's played 14 straight seasons with no injury.
I would say, Jason, that I might feel better. Exist. I would feel better if some of those games were more competitive in Boston. I mean, it was almost like they were disinterested. I would also say, while I applaud Houston for taking a swing with Chris Paul, I think they lost some of their identity by losing 7 players. You know, that team was built around the depth that they had. They could keep throwing guys at you, and I think they lost that.
I mean, there was also James Harden's team, okay? Harden was always like a good player with Dwight Howard there. He was obviously their alpha. But when you hand him the ball and make him the point guard, and all of a sudden he's leading the league in assists, and he turned like Vegas had them as like projected as like 43 wins last year. They won 55. They vastly exceeded expectations for the first time ever. Eric Gordon fully healthy, and he was great because of James Harden, right? So can that happen again? Is Harden going to have to go back to being like a wing player and Chris Paul dominates the ball? I'm not buying Houston totally. But again, just to quickly go back to the Lakers, I don't know, guys. I do have some concern about Lonzo Ball. I do think he is a transformative player. He makes everyone better. But when I see the Lakers holding him out of a summer league game because they don't want him to face De'Aaron Fox, this is another pause for the Lakers. LeBron and Paul George are coming. Wait a sec. What's going on with Lonzo Ball? You're holding him out of a summer league game? Did you guys see this?
Yes, and I saw Fox kind of tweet something, and he said he got hacked.
Yeah.
The summer league's great, isn't it? I said the reason the NBA is becoming the NFL, where they're getting all 12 months in, and they're actually topping them because you draft a guy on Thursday night in June, 2 weeks later you get to watch him play. The summer league is becoming a great vehicle for them.
And let me just quickly chime in on baseball, and I know it's the All-Star break, it'd be the Home Run Derby, a lot of people watch. Did anybody know Aaron Judge's name 6 months ago? I never heard of the guy before the season. I've lost interest mostly in baseball the last few years. But I do want to say this. College basketball, players come into the league with some kind of audience. People know them maybe a little bit from March Madness. College football, we've been watching these guys for 2-3 years. That's a big problem in baseball. Nobody pays attention to the minor leagues. Guys get drafted, number 1 pick, and then they're in the minors for like 3 or 4 years. You don't hear from them.
Right.
I think that's really hurting baseball. Like, Aaron Judge, I'm on board. This guy's going to be a big-time star, but, like, it's going to take a while for people to, who is this guy? What has he done? Where's he from? I know nothing about his background.
Yeah, I just saw that somebody tweeted out that the most expensive seat for the All-Star game tonight was $7,322.50 for dead center front row behind the plate. I'm thinking, boy, if I had $7,000, I'm not going to spend that on the Major League Baseball All-Star game. I'm going to spend it somewhere else.
Wait, they're going to watch Clayton Kershaw pitch to like 6 batters and then give away to some other. I can't imagine somebody spending $7,000 on that.
No way. We're talking with Jason McIntyre from The Big Lead. He's on FS1's Speak for Yourself, and of course, talking some NBA here with these best young teams. You tweet about the NBA, and you look at the best young teams. You got this group of Minnesota, Milwaukee, Philly, LA, and Phoenix. They're kind of have been the teams down at the bottom of the barrel here. Do you expect that of that group, which of the teams stand out that you think Milwaukee already made the playoffs, so they're but they're still in that group of the youngsters.
They're a cut above.
Yeah. So
I like Minnesota a lot, guys.
Okay.
I don't know. There was a little over a decade ago, the Pistons made a big leap from like 32 wins to 50. It was a shocking. And other teams have made the leap, but for some reason, just because of what everybody saw with Minnesota last year, nobody wants to give them credit and say, "Oh, they can do that again." I just got to ask, why not? Jimmy Butler's a top 10 player in the league, and I know people will squabble over that. That's fine, but the advanced stats love Jimmy Butler. He's a clutch player. I think he was 7th in the NBA in clutch field goal percentage last year. The Timberwolves were like, a bunch of young kids having no clue what to do at the end of games. I just love what the Timberwolves did. I've got them ahead of Minnesota right now in the West. I don't know if you guys would agree or not. But Minnesota over Houston for me in the West right now.
Oh, okay, yeah. No, I don't think it's crazy. I love what Minnesota. Of course, I've been people think the Sixers are sending me checks here. That I've been such on the Sixers, bandwagon process. But guess what? I sat through 38-win season after 38-win season and first-round exit after first-round exit with one lightning in the bottle. They didn't even win the damn championship in 2001, but one lightning in the bottle is all I got from 2001 to 2006, 16, or 12 when this thing started, 13, I guess, when it started. So I was on board. So I love Minnesota, what they've done. I love what Philly's done. I love what kind of Milwaukee, where they are. And I think the NBA, we've got to stop analyzing the NBA like it's 2012. The game is different.
That's very well said. And the other thing about how different it is, no other league can sell hope like the NBA. I mean, every single franchise right now, the Sacramento Kings have been garbage since White Chocolate and Chris Webber left. The excitement there now over a couple draft picks is like, wow. We're going to be fun to watch.
Yeah.
The Phoenix Suns are going to be exciting. I like Josh Jackson.
Are you surprised? Are you surprised that so many fan bases have embraced the concept of losing?
No, the Sixers got, pretty much embraced the tank for 3 years? And it would have been shorter, right? If Noel hadn't been hurt, if Ben Simmons hadn't been hurt, if Embiid didn't get hurt. I mean, tanking is the way to go. I'm a big Jets fan, longtime New York Jets fan. And I'm all for bring on the 1-15 this year and give me the number 1 pick in the draft. Well, why would I want to be 6-10 or 7-9? What's that going to get me? Why do I want to be in the middle? You never want to be there. You get nothing.
That's right. NBA purgatory, the worst spot to be. Jason McIntyre at Jason McIntyre on Twitter. Read that piece on the two teams that have the best shot at landing LeBron. One is 3,000 miles from here, and the other one is about 50 miles up the road. Jay, appreciate the time, pal.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for having me.